Hello, my name is Merle Sunde. Welcome to my instructional program on reflexology. People of all ages and from many different walks of life who used to enjoy their work and activities have contacted me over the years requesting reflexology. For everyone, the need has been the same, to experience again the deep level of balanced vitality, self-confidence, and drive. Many of my clients discuss the fact of not enjoying their work or activities because of their lack of energy and concentration. All wish to enjoy the feeling of well-being, and I am confident this video will help them to achieve that. By learning reflexology, you should be able to cope with stressful, imbalanced situations far easier than in the past. Now, during this video, you will be shown a basic procedure of foot reflexology, divided into 3 parts. You will learn the correspondence of the physical body to the feet. You will learn how to thumb walk, how to finger walk, and how to recognize changes in energy flow. Now, what is a reflex? A reflex is an involuntary, a subconscious, and unconscious response to a stimulus. Now, reflexology works through the nervous system, using this system as a bridge between the physical body and the energy or electric body. Now, when we think of the effect of reflexology, we should immediately relate it to balanced energy. Now, why does reflexology play an important part in self-healing? Because it induces relaxation through the balanced flow of energy throughout the systems of the body, thus allowing us to experience this wonderful feeling of well-being. From the very beginning, know quite clearly that reflexologists do not diagnose. Reflexology does not take the place of medicine. However, we may speak of blockages, we may talk about excesses, depletion, congestion in relation to energy and its flow. But always remember to make sure that the person you're working on knows quite clearly that you are working at energy level and not at physical level. Now let us go into the practical application of reflexology. Now, remember I said that we would do this in 3 parts. Now let me just show you. The ball of the foot and the feet correspond to the chest and the head. Then we have the abdominal area, the inner portion of the foot, to the base of the heel, or the beginning of the heel. Then we have the pelvic area. So keep that in mind, that the body is completely reflected in the foot. So now I'm going to relax both feet. I'm going to begin with the right foot first, then I'm going to go to the left foot. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to open the channels of energy from the toes and the feet to the body. Now I'm going to go forward and back, extending from side to side, and I'm going to rotate from one side, one way to the other. And during this, I'm working on the pelvic area, all around this area, opening up the channel lines. Things get caught up in the pelvis. They can get caught up from early childhood. So we're going to open that up first before we begin. Then we're going to stretch the Achilles and pull it gently forward towards you. Then put your fingers into the solar plexus, put your thumbs into the solar plexus and stretch and open up those channels of energy. Sometimes you'll even find the little bones in the feet falling back into place. And now you're going to twist. This helps the spine. It opens up the spine. And then you're just going to gently massage the foot, let it go, and then go to the other one and do exactly the same thing on the left foot. Open up those channels of energy, backwards and forwards, side to side. Rotate one way and then the other. Please notice how I'm supporting the foot. It's very important because it won't feel awkward when you actually do this yourself. Pull on the Achilles, stretch it, place your thumbs into the solar plexus, and stretch and open up the channels of energy from the toes. Now twist. Twist in the spinal area, twist and open up. It looks good, it looks relaxing, and it will help her tremendously. Straight off. Now we can go back to the right foot, and we're going to begin with the neck muscles, sides and top of head, the pituitary, the pineal, and the sinuses. So let's begin. Look at how I am supporting the large toe with one hand and working with the other. Now you're going to begin to thumb walk. Use the side of the thumb, just the edge, and of course you realize that you need to have short nails. Use the side of the thumb and work from the base of the toe where it joins the foot to the first crease, which is the base of the occipital. So you're going to work all around that area. And you're going to be able to feel things. You'll feel muscle tension. You may even feel somebody who has a very relaxed neck. So you're going to work all the way around. Now, if the person that you're working on feels some discomfort there, find out if the discomfort is sharp or whether it has a bruised feeling. If it's sharp, it generally means that there is too much energy caught up there, and you disperse it by working in an anti-clockwise direction, an agitating circular direction. If it's a bruised feeling, there obviously isn't enough energy in that area, so you're going to work again, but in the opposite direction, in the clockwise direction. So now you're going to finger walk all around the base of the toe, all around the front. Then we're going to go up the side of the head. Don't go too quickly. Feel. Keep your awareness below your thumb. Feel. Go over the top of the head and down the other side. Right. Now to find the pituitary, make a cross on the padding of the toe and go to the inner aspect of the inner lower quadrant, right there. And go straight into that area. In older people, you can actually feel a tiny little pea there. And sometimes it's a little tender for them. So go in there. Now you know the pituitary is it's a master gland, and it affects all the other glands in the body chemically. It's very, very tiny, but it has tremendous effect. So work this. It's part of your endocrine system. It helps to balance things in the body. Then go to the pineal, which is just above the center of the cross. Just go in there and stimulate that. It seems for many years they never knew the function of the pineal gland, but I've heard it talked about medically and in other fields that the pineal may have something to do with our will to live. So that makes it interesting, doesn't it? Fine, now let's go on to the sinuses. The sinuses are up the sides of the toes and the tops of the toes and on the webbing between the toes. And for somebody with severe sinus problems, you can do the front and the back of the toes as well. People have problems with their sinuses. Quite often you'll find that they have a problem in their digestive system as well. There seems to be an overflow. The sinuses seem to be an overflow from the digestive system. So we're going to do the little toe, up both sides, and the top. Now we're going to find the point for the eye, the inner ear, the ear generally, and the shoulder. Now the eye point, stretch the toes back, and it's down between the second and third toe. So I'm going to press down into that area. The inner ear is between the third and fourth toe. So press down into that area. And then the ear generally, at the end between the fourth and fifth toe. Now I want you just to thumb walk along the base of the toes, on the padding, on the base of the toes both ways, starting from below the little toe and then working your way back towards the little toe so that you've covered all the points. Now to find the shoulder point, we need to go onto the top of the foot slightly, and we're going to go down between the tendons of the fourth and the little toe before we find it on the bottom. And you'll feel the tenderness on the top of the foot first. If it's severe, go to the bottom and work that and release the tension. Many times it's very sharp. Now the next point we're going to start is the thyroid. Then the throat, the parathyroid or parathyroids, and the lungs. So again, look at where my hands are placed. I'm stretching the toes back. And the area you're going to work for the thyroid is a half U shape that begins right there, and it comes up in a half U shape and ends at the webbing between the large toe and the second toe. So you're going to come in, around, and please note right here, this is the reflex. This is the reflex for the thyroid. Then you're going to continue up to the webbing. Now you know, of course, that the thyroid affects our metabolism, so it's very important to work that area. Then you're going to do another little U shape, but it's inside the other one, and you're going to work up the area of the throat until you get to the base of the occiput there. So you work that area. Now you're going to stretch the large toe and the second toe, and you're going to pinch for the parathyroid. I've only ever, in my experience, found one woman with a very tender area there. And it turned out that she was menopausal and she was having trouble with the calcium in her body. So know that it has an effect on the distribution of calcium in the body. Okay, now we're going to work on the lungs. And if the toes are large enough, you can place your fingers between the toes just to stretch and open them. And you'll see the demarcation between the toes going up the ball of the feet. And this is the area that you work on. Now remember where the solar plexus is, where the diaphragm is, this area here. So you're going to work just above that, and you're going to go in a straight line up to the webbing, all the way along. You'll often feel hardness there, a feeling of congestion and tightness in the area. And what you could do, something that everyone feels very comfortable with, is to use the back of your fist in an anti-clockwise direction and open up the area more. I'm supporting the back of the foot with one hand and opening up the area with the other. And it's very relaxing. Opens up the chest a great deal more. Good. Now we're going to work on the liver, then the gallbladder, before going on to the solar plexus. Now for the liver, it's about a thumb below the point where the small toe joins the foot. About a thumb down. And you begin there to work in a fan-shaped direction until you come in line with the third toe. You begin at the same point each time and fan out slightly. The liver is a large organ, and it sits just below the diaphragm on the right side. And the diaphragm, of course, is a half-moon shape, like that. So it's tucked up under the ribs. So you're going to work that area, and there is the reflex for the liver. You know, all the nutrients are absorbed from the small intestine through the bloodstream into the liver, where they're either stored or distributed to different parts of the body. So it's a very important organ. And this organ also renews itself. Around about every 6 months, there is a new liver. So it's a very important point to work on. Now the gallbladder point is a little different, and you will have to look for this. Use the third toe as a point and work down the top of the third toe. It's right on it to about 2 fingers from the base of the toe on the top of the foot. And talk to the person that you're working on. They will tell you when you've hit the spot. So there is her point. And now, one of the most important places to work on is our solar plexus. And I told you it's in the area of the diaphragm. This is a major point. This is where we feel things. This is where our emotions are affected. So you're going to get in there and see where it's located. Right in there, right in the middle. And I want you to remember this, because later on, when we work on the kidneys, you're going to know that it's just below the solar plexus. Now we're going to begin working on the middle portion of the foot, on the abdominal area on the body. We're going to begin with the stomach, then the small intestine, the ileocecal valve, and the appendix. Now the stomach is, if I put the feet together, and I can show you that the stomach is across both feet, just below the solar plexus, on both feet. And we're going to work the right one first. And it's just below where we began to work on the thyroid, that half-U shape up for the thyroid. We're going to go in a certain way. You're going to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all very close together. 1, 2, 3, 4, until you're in the middle of the foot. Then you're going to come straight down. This is the small intestine reflex. Going to come down till you begin the area for the pelvic area, which is the beginning of the heel. Now go one thumb along towards the little toe for the ileocecal valve. Now this valve is very important because it separates the contents of the small intestine from the contents of the large intestine. Sometimes it can be a little too tight, sometimes it can be a little too loose, and we find that we have discomfort. Now after you've done the ileocecal valve, go half a thumb along for the appendix. Now we're going to begin the next portion. We're going to do the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and the small intestine generally. So you're going to change hands, support the base of the heel with one hand, and then work up the edge of the foot in line with a small toe. Feel, be totally focused on the area that you're working on under your thumb. Feel for any, what one of the students once said to me, felt like a water ball, tiny, tiny little bubbles. And just disperse them. Just work in there. Keep working up until you come to the area just below the liver. Remember, this is where you were working on the liver. So now you're going to turn and go at a slight downward angle because you want to miss the stomach area, which is here. And you're going to work across for the transverse colon. Slight angle down. Good. Now you're just going to cover the whole of that part of the foot, the middle portion, the middle part of the foot that we're working on. Going to cover the whole of that minutely. Stimulating, opening up blockages. You're not only working on the small intestine, but you're working on the peritoneum, the covering around those areas. You're also working on the lymph in the area. And you know how important the lymph system is. It's our immune system. And we need to make sure that we have our defense system in our body working in a balanced way. So we're going to work along this area. Let me say here that it's not a good idea to work on someone after they've just had something to eat. They can find that working on this particular area a little uncomfortable. It's not a good thing to do, so just remember that. Now we're going to go on to the left foot. Know that everything virtually is replicated from the right foot to the left foot, apart from one or 2 points. You have a liver and gallbladder on the right side of the body, and on the left side you have your heart, your spleen, and your pancreas. Now I'm not going to go over the upper portion, the middle, and the bottom on the left foot, apart from these points. Now we're going to begin with the heart point. It's an indirect point, and to find it, find the base of the fourth toe on the top of the foot and gently pinch. It is an indirect point, but it is powerful. And if I tell you that when I was working on someone once, I gave this man a massage, and when I do that, I generally do the main points on the feet. And when I got to this point and just touched it gently, he pulled his foot away so firmly and said, "Oh, what was that?" Well, I was so focused on what I was doing that I nearly fell over. And I couldn't say to him, "Well, that was your heart point," because I hadn't explained to him the fact that I was working at energy level. So I did. I talked to him about that, and then I said, you know, it might be a good thing if you go and have a checkup. "Oh, but I had that one 3 weeks ago," he said. I said, "Well, just go back and have somebody listen to your chest." Well, he had a friend who's a gynecologist. I believe they were in the Masons together. And he went along that same afternoon and asked his friend to humor him and just listen to his chest. Well, I didn't see him for about a year and a half. And then one day he came into my clinic and he said, "May I have another treatment from you?" "Yes, that's fine." He said, "Do you see the scar that I have here? It's your fault." Oh, apparently he went in to see his friend sounded him out, then decided it might be a good idea if he checked him out in a private hospital. They decided to do an angiogram. He said he was in the theater, he was half asleep, and they injected the dye, they took the x-rays, and he was just dozing there quietly. And then all of a sudden, somebody shouted out something, and he said it was as though all hell had broken loose. And when he woke up, he had had a bypass. They were so concerned that they had to do this so quickly because from the x-rays they could see how blocked the area was. So I thought I'd just share that little story with you, just so that you'd keep in mind that although this is an indirect point, it's important. Now, we've done the heart point, and we're going to go to the spleen, which is in virtually the same area as the liver on the other side. So you're going to go one thumb down below the small toe, and then fan in. Hold the toes back and fan in until you're in line with the third toe. Fan out slightly, and then when you've reached the middle, go one thumb down and continue across, right across for the pancreas. Now we're still working on the left foot, so we're going to work now on the transverse colon, the descending colon, the sigmoid colon, and the rectal area. So the transverse colon is a continuation from the other foot. It goes right across the body, and it's still at a slight downward angle, just below the stomach and the pancreas area. So still at a downward angle. Then you change hands and you continue down for the descending colon in line with the little toe until you get near to the base of the abdominal area, and then you work at an angle down this way, because this little puffy area here on the side, which you will soon see, is the bladder. So you're going to come down at an angle for the sigmoid colon, miss that puffy area for the rectal area and the anal area. And again, you're going to work across, covering the whole of the abdominal area for the small intestine.